transfer portal is going to be opening up. Guys are declaring that they're entering the transfer portal, and it's time to start to get a sense of where these guys could go. I want to talk about 4 players. Sam Levitt has officially entered, or has declared that he will enter. CJ Baxter, the running back from Texas, former 5-star recruit, has declared he's officially entering. Brendan Sorsby has not, and he is a little bit of an interesting discussion, which we're going to get to in a quick second. And Bryce Underwood's also a really interesting discussion. He has not declared. We are not insinuating that he's going to declare. He should enter the transfer portal or any of those things. But there have been guys that have left for less turmoil. And there's a lot going on with this Michigan program. It was pointed out that there's no buyout on his NIL deal that he signed. If he wanted to leave, he theoretically could. Let's just rip off a couple of destinations here that we think would fit with these teams, with these players. Sam Levitt, quarterback, Arizona State. I really think that this is going to end up being who Miami goes after. It's been rumored. It's been, a lot of people have been brought up. I feel like Miami has done a really good job, and they need to be a lot better in high school recruiting, by the way, but they've done a really good job of finding and evaluating guys that are toolsy, that they have been able to take chances on, that have been experienced. Carson Beck kind of worked and helped them get them to a college football playoff, but he still was the same guy that he once was. Cam Ward was the premier example. I think that you throw him in Shannon Dawson's offense, you can get some Cam Ward type plays, and he would be really, really perfect for the Hurricanes.
I think Miami would be a solid fit. You know what I like better, Joe? I like LSU. I think LSU would make a lot of sense for him because I think Sam Levitt is he's a very volatile player, man. Like he looks like a player that kind of struggles to get through his reads a little bit, so things turn into chaos, and then he likes to work outside of structure. He doesn't stick within the pocket. I think working with someone like Lane Kiffin would actually be really good for him because Lane Kiffin's offense, while Lane is a great offensive mind, his offense is not overly complicated, right? Like it is very kind of rudimentary in terms of they're going to attack where it's open. They're going to keep the reads very simple. It's a very basic system from a passing perspective. I think Sam Levitt would go into there and it would be perfect because Lane would be able to just ask him to do 1 or 2 things really well and not let his mind kind of get too chaotic.
He's kind of Jackson Dartish too. He's a better athlete than Jackson Dart, but the run first and the aggressive running style, I think translates. And to your point, Sam Levitt's money when that first read's there. And it was just like with Jackson Dart in college. Sure. He was money when that first read was there. Things kind of broke down, and when he had to process it would lead to issues, and that was when he had some of his negative plays. That's a really good point. LSU would be intriguing. I would argue, though, if Bryce Underwood does decide to enter, I really think that LSU, him going back to the school that he was committed to, makes such perfect sense. He had to have been committed there for a reason. It wasn't Brian Kelly. A lot of guys commit to the brand of LSU because of the brand of LSU and the special history of that program. I would wonder if they don't go all in on trying to get him to come back.
Well, let's call a spade, though. He wanted to go there to play with play under Joe Sloan. So why does he go to Kentucky then? He can go to Kentucky and play with Joe Sloan.
All right. Did he actually want to go play for Joe Sloan?
No, I don't want to play for Joe Sloan.
If a quarterback recruit ever publicly states, "Oh man, I really want to play for Joe Sloan," I'm not drafting him.
That was a huge reason why Bryce Underwood went to LSU. That was a huge reason why Bryce Underwood went. Was it actually?
Yes. Am I missing something?
Oh, dude, no. He was a big Joe Sloan guy. 100%. That's why that Joe Sloan, Mike Denbrock thing happens. Like, that was a huge part of the conversation. So my question for you is it's easy. And so he'll be linked to LSU a lot, and maybe he ends up going to LSU if he decides to leave Michigan. I don't know that conversation, but would it really be best for him? I don't know. Like, that's an interesting conversation. I would argue, and I would argue extensively, I actually think Miami would be a pretty fun destination for Bryce Underwood. Not that I necessarily would predict him there. I think LSU makes a little bit more sense. But Miami,
Yeah.
I think he fits what Shannon Dawson wants to do. You talk about the best of what we saw with Cam Ward 2 years ago. That's what I want Bryce to eventually to become, dude. I want him to take some chances. Michigan tried to neuter him this year because they didn't have enough pass game weapons out of like Andrew Marsh. Like they just kept everything super simple because he's a freshman, because they didn't have a ton of offensive weapons. Imagine him down in Miami with Shannon Dawson, just kind of unleash a little bit of that just kind of fire and a little bit more aggressiveness. I think that would be a fun conversation to have.
I'll throw in a kind of a random one here.
Do it.
Is Tennessee content with Joey Aguilar? Does Tennessee consider like, hey, we could get a big, strong kid to play? I swear to God, I am not comparing him to Joe Milton. I'm not comparing him to Joe Milton. I think that he is 10 times the instinctual athlete of Joe Milton. But you're effectively getting what you thought you could have maybe had with Joe Milton, but a kid who actually knows how to play football. That would be really intriguing. Just big, strong, tough kid.
You got mad at me. You got mad at me for mentioning Rodney McLeod with Caleb Downs. You just mentioned Joe Milton with Bryce Underwood.
But I'm not. But this is very different.
Yes.
Well, Joe Milton was a freakish athlete. He just didn't know how to process. He just didn't have instincts. Bryce Underwood does. So imagine you comparable athlete, plus he is a tremendous decision maker and he's a natural playmaker. Imagine that at Tennessee.
Don't go to Tennessee. Don't go to Tennessee. It would be it would be a fun within that system, but that system does not prepare you for the NFL. So Bryce, stay away from Tennessee. Do not go to Knoxville. No, thank you.
To jump to CJ Baxter before we get out of here quickly on Brendan Sorsby. If I am Kalen DeBoer, I am opening the checkbook and I'm saying, whatever this young man says, we're paying it. I don't care if he tells us $100 million. Find it. Find it somewhere. I'm obviously speaking hyperbolically. They need a game-changing running back. And I don't want anyone to go like, oh, what else? CJ Baxter didn't do anything this year. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. CJ Baxter had so much potential. That kid exudes juice. He's a big play guy. He's a physical just presence as well as an explosive athlete. I think that you reestablish the old school Alabama running identity by throwing him into Alabama's mix. That is a kid that you need to go all in after. He could very well be the number one running back in the portal, and I think that he should be.
Go on the other side of the Red River rivalry, Joe, down to Oklahoma is where I would say for CJ Baxter to have some interest in. That would be so much fun, though, because they have a good couple younger running backs like Xavier Robinson, but Xavier Robinson has been really banged up the first couple years, so he's missed a lot of time. I think that he kind of has that downhill physical run style that they want in that offense to go along with kind of that spread option passing attack, and I think that CJ Baxter would be really fun in the Oklahoma offense potentially. Really quickly,
Brendan Sorsby, the quarterback for Cincinnati, who has been brought up a lot as a prospect for the 2026 NFL draft, but is like a first-round hoverer. Some NFL teams apparently love him.
Yes.
Does he enter or does he go to the portal? Or actually, let me ask this. Should Sorsby enter the NFL draft, or should he go to a blue blood, big-name program and boost himself into a top 10 pick?
It's such an interesting debate because in the NFL draft space, I think he would go early, Joe. Like, I think he'd go top 50 for sure, maybe first rounds. Like, he has potential to rise in the class. I'd rather him go back to school for one more year. And if he had to go back to school for the transfer portal side of things, I don't think he would stick it to Cincinnati. The two teams that people keep talking about are Indiana, Texas Tech. That's apparently the two teams that would have high interest in Brendan Sorsby right now. I think him going to staying up north and going back to Indiana, where he initially started his career, would be very interesting with a coach like Kirk Cignetti.